Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, today we're going to talk about, procrastination and distractions. And what I find that with a lot of agents is that as technology has evolved, they necessarily haven't actually evolved or really started to think about how they're using that technology to be beneficial as opposed to be something that's pulling them away from the game. And we see a lot of people that are distracted on their mobile devices, on social media icons. They're in a position that they're looking at lots of emails. They've got all these notifications coming at them. And what's actually happening is that they're distracted from really doing the work that's going to make you that great agent in the marketplace. Let's talk a little bit about some of the modern distractions that come up and how an agent can maybe put some of those aside so they can really do the work that counts as a part of their business.
Josh, something that I learned 5 years ago is, and I since then have never once taken my phone into an appraisal or vendor meeting or face-to-face meeting. I think what it does, particularly with like us that are busy, consistently getting calls, just distracts you and gets you out of the moment. It's also, I think, an excuse if you're sitting at your desk in the office and you've got Facebook open, Instagram, whatever, that it's an excuse for you to obviously not focus on what you're doing and just distract you. And I think if you're looking at a call ratio of a call every 30 seconds plus you're looking at all your social media and emails, like that to me will probably hinder you from making at least 100 calls a week and building relationships with obviously your database and people that you've come across at open homes. Plus, I find when I do it that I actually just stop thinking about the call, and people have asked questions and I've just had no comeback because I actually haven't listened to it. Then therefore they can sense that as well. They know that you're not interested and they know that you don't care about them, and therefore you'll never get their business.
It's interesting, this week at a seminar we were having a little bit of fun, and we had about 10 tables of people in the room, and what I did is I took all the Mentos off all of the tables, but I put it on just one table in the center of the room, and everyone came in and we started the conference and we were about an hour and a half into it, and it was amazing to watch that central table, actually every single person had eaten all of the Mentos that were in front of them. And interesting enough, I stopped and I said, does anyone in the room notice anything different? And one of the people said, it's interesting that the table in the middle I've actually got Mentos. And then I asked the people in the middle, I said, was it actually your intention today to eat as much Mentos as you could? And they said, no, it wasn't. I said, isn't that interesting? Because in life you do whatever's in front of you. And that's exactly the same thing that we're seeing with people on mobile phones these days. There's that really we need to change our behaviors about how we actually use systems to benefit in the way that we're working with the customer. And the best thing that you can do is to delete all your social media icons off your phone and then see how many times you go back to try to find them. And what I find with people is that they've got these things like notifications, pinging at them that every single time that there's an email that's come through or an SMS or any of those things, and they're now getting distracted as opposed to actually doing the work that really counts. And so one thing I've done is I've turned off all of my notifications on my phone, and also too, my emails do not come to my phone, automatically. I actually have to press on the email icon and pull down to actually bring all of those emails in at that one particular point in time. So I'm actually processing the most effective things at that point in time. Alex, you're a big one for really keeping that focus on the phone. And I think that for a lot of people, they want to argue with me about whether or not they should be on social, whether or not they should just be on the phone and doing the work. And what I know is that being on the phone and booking face-to-face appointments will produce you $1 million first, and guaranteed without a doubt, as opposed to just being on social. It's a layer, it's not the core of what a good business is. So what would you say to an agent? What are some of the things that they can be really focusing on doing that's going to be important, to cut out the distractions and just focus on doing these activities?
Get a call sheet, turn your computer off, put your phone on silent, or even turn your phone off and do 45 minutes 3 times a day. And that's something that I still do. My phone's always on silent. If it rings, Prue or Kenji will answer the phone, so we're not actually missing any calls. They'll get a message, I'll call them back, even if I'm about to finish a conversation. They'll get the message and I won't be distracted. So I think, I particularly when you're in the moment, you come across so much more convincing than when you're not. So when you've got your headset on, you're walking around your office, you've got a call sheet and you've got purpose for the call, and you're really there thinking about what they're going to benefit from, the call, the person on the other end of the phone, you will get a whole lot more out of it. Social media, looking at someone on the beach in Mykonos or, obviously, at a great dinner or something like that, isn't going to benefit you.
And I think that that's the big thing with a lot of people is that they really get caught up and they think that it's going to help them, but they're not actually really thinking about how they can be doing the work in front of the customer and actually really helping them to make some much better decisions around what they do. And, I saw a great quote on this, which was, that one of the main reasons that people actually struggle with insecurity is that they're actually comparing their behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. And I think that there's too much fascination with what a competitor's doing or what someone else might be doing rather than actually just being in the moment and really being in that state of flow. And my favorite saying on this is that when the goal is clear, there are no distractions, and this is a really simple thing. If your goal is to do the open for inspection callbacks today and find 4 potential sellers to get a face-to-face appointment with, then there are no distractions in that goal. This is ultimately what we're here to do today. We're going to make sure that we've got great energy on the phone. We're going to smile when we work with the customer, and we're really going to help them to make some much better decisions by us having the opportunity to come out and give them an idea on what the value of their home is worth so they can make a better decision about whether or not they renovate, upgrade, extend, or maybe use some equity to potentially buy an investment property to even retire a little earlier. Alex, when you talk about goals, I know that you've got some big ones. Why is it important for an agent to actually start small with their goals and start to build them over time as they gain confidence?
To be realistic about, obviously, when you hit a goal, you feel obviously the sense of achievement and you can celebrate off that. But if you extend your goals too far in advance of where you are, you're never going to reach them, and it probably puts you in a space of of obviously not being confident in a negative mind space. I look at my goals this year and compared to what it was 10 to 12 years ago doing 20 sales, well now our goal is to do 200 sales. So it's obviously taken us 12 years to get there, but I've still got my goals from every year from 15th of December when I start doing my goals for the next year. And it's about being realistic, plus always being accountable, and maybe having a mentor or someone that's going to make you accountable to make sure that you actually obviously going to try and achieve that goal, and if not, adapt to it. And I think if you also look at your goals, as we've spoken in the past, and break them down on a monthly basis, if your goal is to do 20 sales in the first year of your real estate career, or after the third year, well, that's really 1.2 sales a month, or 1.4, whatever it is. So it's not that daunting as what 20 might be.
I think this is the great challenge, is that I've just never met anyone who's spent 20 minutes extra on social or 20 minutes extra in their email and say, what, Alex, that was a great 20 minutes. But yet I've met plenty of people that, what, mate, I had a call session today. I spoke with 4 or 5 people, and off the back of that, I generated 2 extra leads. And I think that this is the big difference is that, when you get really clear and intentional on your work and the goals are clear, there are no distractions, and you're really thinking about the quality of your dialogue. And I think that's a simple thing for agents to really take away from today. Is what I'm doing today actually going to help me to get where I want to get to, because I'm actually helping other people? And if you do that, you're going to become a great agent.